concept Draya and Jalen Green's relationship. All right, so as mothers, how do you guys feel about that dynamic?
Who's gonna go first?
I will. That doesn't sit well with me. If that was my son, like we would have to have a serious conversation. Like, what happened that I don't know about? Like, what did you experience for you to want to be with a woman that's 17, 18 years your senior? That's crazy to me. But it definitely wouldn't sit well with me at all.
And it doesn't sit well with me because, first of all, she's a senior and she's just been out there, like in the world. She's very sexually,
Motivated.
she's very sexually motivated. She's been on, what was it, the Basketball Wives show, and even in that she was depicted as a whore. I'm gonna just call it what it is. She was a whore. She had one son then that they were saying that she was having trouble taking care of. So to me, I believe like Draya is the type that she preys on, because it is women that preys on certain guys, especially guys like him, that he's in a position where he is now. Yep, he has, I mean, he's money, she's a type looks for, cause so she can have that power, and control, and she probably feels she can control them. And I do believe when it comes to the aspect of age differences, especially if it's a woman, because as women, we are very tactical thinkers. We're thinkers. We think and we plot out things to where she thought about this situation with him, and she knew that this would be like the bag. Also, she can have that control. She could control him and run him.
Yeah.
So me, that wouldn't say, well, for me, having my 5 sons, like, no, I just don't agree with it at all. No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with it at all, and especially because like as a mother, when you think of your child and then other children that are your children's age, you're like, why would I want to be with someone that's the same age as my child? I look at you like my son.
Right.
And women always say that. They say that all the time, but then you go and date a child that's literally your son's age.
Right.
What's the motive?
Kind of looking at it like I'm dating my son's friend.
Right.
But I was
Literally.
calling him son, but I really was feeling him like, that's weird.
Literally. What's the ulterior motive? Stop hiding it behind love, because, like I said, when it's a child that's the same age as your son, you look at them like that's your child.
I mean, you gotta think, 23 years old? Like, he hasn't even experienced life as far as coming into manhood. So that's like, and then having a son that's the same age as he is, that's gonna cause conflict right there.
Exactly.
So when it's your son, this is one thing for sure, right? I mean, sons, right? You have
Yeah.
sons, and you have older sons, now adult sons. So when it's your sons, when it comes to the mother, they're protective over their mother.
Yeah.
So I just see in that whole situation just a whole bad situation in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's going to happen is I just could see the one that's going to be on the losing end of the stick is Jalen, right? And
Yeah.
especially in the position that he in, to where he'll end up in jail probably, because what does always happen, or end up having a child by him. Now she's getting him for his money, right? And all this. So then in that aspect, I mean, I just look at it as the whole conflict. It's not just with her; it's with her son and Jalen too. And so it's just bad. Because I already know how my sons would feel.
Yeah, and then when I think about it as like
Anytime
toast to health, wealth, prosperity, and good conversations.
I will toast to that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was confused.
Okay, what was I gonna say? Oh, and then as a woman, when you're bringing a man into your lives and you already have children, you're bringing this man in as a role model for your kids to lead your sons because there's no man in the household. So now you're bringing a man that's the same age as your son, and you're still teaching your son how to be a man. How is this equal gonna teach your son how to be a man?
Right. Okay. So I just heard what you said, Bria, and you said her teaching him how to be a man, right? But she can't teach him how to be a man.
I agree.
So now she's bringing a young man that is very inexperienced, I'm sure, because 23 years old. Come on now. So she's bringing a young man in that is the same age as her son. Right. She already can't teach him how to be a man, right?
Right.
Because it's a fact, like, that's why a lot of young males that, let me just put an aspect as for even myself, having sons in a household as being a single mother, right? Yeah. That already alone, it contributes to them being emotional. And there's nothing wrong with having emotionals, but as men, they're not supposed to be over emotional, because that's why a lot of our men,
your emotions, especially if it's like crying in that sense.
But crying is okay. But what I mean by that, we're emotional creatures by nature. But then when you have the aspect of bringing another male in that's the same age as your son, you're a single mother with a son that you've been raising. And he hasn't had a male figure, so now he has the attributes of emotion of his mother.
And she also has another child, though, too.
Right. So that's it's just a bad situation, because not only he's not be able to be a role model for him, right? Yeah. He's gonna be probably harboring some type of feelings alone just with the situation. Exactly. So now he has to take on that. I'm talking about her son, and then take on the whole aspect of still not being guided by a man that can be a real role model for him. And not to say that Jalen probably can't teach him some things that are positive, or just teach him some things, but he cannot definitely not teach him how to be a man.
Be very few and far in between.
Right. And teach him how to be a man.
He hasn't had that chance to become full adult male. Like,
right.
He hasn't even hit that peak yet to even doing that, like just getting started.
Right. And why should her son be receptive to this man coming into their home?
And he's probably not.
Right.
I'm sure he's probably not.
Because then it's like, Mom, what makes him different than me?
Right.
You say, I'm not ready for this, I'm not ready for that, but he is.
But how can he tell me anything? Right?
Right.
Yeah, and if it were like a man doing this, it'd be all bad.
Come on.
All over social media. Like, he would get tore down, like, real bad, especially if he was a black man.
Come on.
Yes.
Tore down.
Come on. How was that young girl supposed to teach him that little girl?
Right. Right. So yeah, it's not good.
That double standard, though.
You guys talked about the reality of a young man being the same age as a woman's son, right? Imagine if Jalen Green tries to chastise her son. Where do you think that goes as far as Jalen being physical with her son?
I was about to say, they getting the swinging.
It's going to be altercation. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't care how much money Jalen has. Her son is still going to be like, first of all, we the same age. Right. Second of all, you shouldn't be with my mother in the first place.
And you're not my daddy.
And you're not my daddy. You can't, there's no way possible you could be my daddy. So, no, that's just crazy.
And that goes into them having, that's your sibling's dad now.
Right.
That's crazy.
Oh, right.
So don't disrespect him.
Right.
Same age.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that part of that.
Make it make sense.
They have a
What
child.
about the idea of her son bringing more friends over? How do you think that's going to make Jalen feel?
Like, it's a free-for-all.
He's good. He's definitely going to be, I feel he'll be insecure. I don't care how much money he has or whatever. Because you got to think like this. If she did it with me, she'll do it with somebody else.
Exactly.
That's just life in general. That's with any situation. right?
Yeah, he'll definitely
So
feel some type of way.
he's gonna think like that. I mean, I believe he would think like that,
But think about his friends. His friends is the same age as him.
right?
And it could be younger, actually, because you know how young they come into the league now, 18.
I mean, Jordan Pope is his friend. And
Hey,
he's, and yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Younger.
So now we discussed the dynamic of Jalen being around his friends. What if Jalen gets to a point to where he brings his dad and uncles and all of them around her?
And then it's still a threat.
Right. It would be a threat
Mm-hmm.
because now you have men that are seasoned, experienced men, however it may be experienced
But
in the
for
world.
her, I feel like it depends on that guy, on that man. Like, who is he? Like, what's his status?
Yeah.
Because she just not going to talk for anything. What's his status? Where you work? How much you make? Like, it's going to depend on that.
I mean, honestly, she may be intimidated by a man that seasoned, just because of who she is, right? Because a lot of women like that. I mean, you got to think about it, her mindset. Because how old was her other son's father? I mean, who knows? But what I'm saying is why a lot of women that age or older usually go for that, and they call them cougars or they call them